The thick forest stood on the outskirts of a small, forgotten town, shrouded in an air of malevolence that no one could quite explain. Locals spoke in hushed tones about the hauntings, the inexplicable disappearances, and the unholy whispers that echoed through the trees. They knew better than to venture into those woods, especially after nightfall. Yet, the group of campers, oblivious to the sinister history, made their way deeper into the forest, their laughter and chatter slowly swallowed by the oppressive silence. The campers, 5 in total, were eager for adventure, for a break from their mundane lives. They set up their tents in a clearing, unaware of the unseen eyes watching them from the shadows. The air grew colder as the sun dipped below the horizon, and an unnatural stillness settled over the forest. Even the insects and birds fell silent, as if they too were wary of what the night might bring. As darkness enveloped the campsite, the group huddled around a flickering fire, its light casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to twist and contort beyond the reach of the flames. The trees loomed tall and foreboding, their branches intertwining like skeletal fingers. An unsettling feeling crept over them, but they brushed it off as nerves. Hours passed, and one by one the campers retreated to their tents, leaving the fire to die down to glowing embers. The forest seemed to exhale, a deep, resonant sigh that carried with it a sense of impending doom. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying faint, unintelligible murmurs. The campers, now nestled in their sleeping bags, were oblivious to the spectral figures beginning to materialize in the gloom. In the dead of night, the forest came alive with a different kind of activity. Pale apparitions drifted between the trees, their eyes empty voids of darkness. They moved soundlessly, their presence felt rather than seen. The temperature dropped further, an icy chill seeping into the campers' bones, rousing them from restless slumber. Fear gnawed at their hearts as they sensed they were not alone. One camper, a young woman named Sarah, felt a cold breath on the back of her neck. She turned slowly, her breath hitching in her throat as she came face to face with a ghostly figure, its face twisted in a grimace of eternal torment. She wanted to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. The apparition reached out, its translucent hand passing through her chest, and a searing pain exploded within her. She collapsed, lifeless, her face frozen in a mask of horror. The others woke to the sound of Sarah's body hitting the ground. Panic spread like wildfire as they stumbled out of their tents, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. The beam of light fell on Sarah's lifeless form, and terror gripped them. They had to leave, but the forest seemed to close in around them, the trees pressing closer, their branches clawing at the sky. Another camper, Michael, tried to call for help, but his phone showed no signal. The spectral figures were closer now, their whispers growing louder, more insistent. He turned, only to find himself face to face with another ghost. The apparition's hollow eyes bored into his soul, and he felt an overwhelming sense of despair. His flashlight flickered and died, plunging him into darkness. Moments later, his screams pierced the night, then abruptly ceased. The remaining 3 campers huddled together, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. They knew they had to escape, but every direction seemed fraught with danger. The ghosts were relentless, their numbers increasing, surrounding the terrified survivors. The campers' minds raced, trying to recall the way back to safety, but the forest had become a labyrinth of shadows and fear. Emily, the bravest of the group, grabbed a burning stick from the remnants of the fire, using it as a makeshift torch. She led the way, urging the others to follow. The spectral figures recoiled from the flames, but they did not retreat. Emily's heart pounded as she fought to keep the fire alive, but it was a losing battle. The wood was damp, and the flames sputtered and dimmed. As they stumbled through the undergrowth, one of the campers, David, was snatched by an unseen force. Emily and the last camper, Mark, could do nothing but watch in horror as David was dragged into the darkness, his screams echoing until they were abruptly cut off. Desperation clawed at their sanity. They had to find a way out. The forest seemed to stretch endlessly, and the malevolent spirits were always a step ahead. Emily's torch finally died, plunging them into total darkness. She and Mark clung to each other, their hope dwindling with each passing second. They stumbled forward, the whispers growing louder, almost deafening. In a final, frantic bid for survival, they broke into a run, ignoring the branches that scratched their faces and the roots that threatened to trip them. The spectral figures closed in, their cold hands reaching out. Mark felt an icy grip around his ankle and fell, disappearing into the shadows with a final, anguished cry. Emily, now alone, could see the faint glow of moonlight through the trees. Salvation was just ahead. She pushed forward, her body screaming in protest, her mind a whirlwind of fear and determination. The whispers were louder now, a cacophony of lost souls. She burst into the open, the moonlight washing over her like a benediction. But as she turned to look back, she saw the spectral figures standing at the edge of the forest, their hollow eyes watching her. She had escaped, but the forest had claimed its due. The ghosts receded into the shadows, and the whispers faded, leaving Emily to collapse, exhausted and traumatized, under the indifferent light of the moon. The forest stood silent once more, a sentinel of darkness, waiting for its next unwitting victims.